At the time, Israel was living in the land of his fathers, the land of Canaan. Joseph was now 17 years old, and he worked in the fields with his brothers, tending the flocks. Joseph was his father Israel's favorite. Joseph's father loved him so much. He gave him a coat of many colors as a sign of Joseph being the next patriarch in the family. Because of this, Joseph's brothers spoke harshly towards him. They hated him due to their raging jealousy. One night, Joseph had a dream. He dreamt that sheaves of hay were all around him, and they bowed down to him. He told his brothers, and they now hated him even more. Joseph later dreamed another dream. He dreamt that the sun, the moon, and the stars all bowed down to him. When Joseph told his father of this dream, he said,
"What is this that you have dreamed? Shall your mother and I and all your brothers bow down to you?"
One day, Joseph was in the fields. His brothers hated him so much lately, they planned to kill him. Reuben, the oldest, suggested that they don't shed blood, so they threw him into a pit in the desert. A caravan was passing by them, so they sold him. Now Joseph had been brought to Egypt. He was a slave in the Pharaoh's officer, Potiphar's household. God blessed him so that in everything he did, he succeeded. Joseph found favor in Potiphar's eyes, and he was made head of the household. Now Joseph was handsome, and Potiphar's wife noticed. She tried to seduce him, and he continually denied her. After a while, she finally had enough. She tore his clothes and screamed, telling everyone Joseph had tried to rape her. Potiphar knew Joseph wouldn't do such a thing, but he didn't want to shame his wife. Joseph was sent to the Pharaoh's prison. Joseph was later put in charge of all the prisoners. The Lord was with him and made him successful. One night, two of the prisoners, a cupbearer and a chief baker, had very troubling nightmares. They told Joseph about the dreams, and he interpreted them. In the cupbearer's dream, there was a vine with 3 branches. As soon as the branches budded, the blossoms became ripe grapes. The cluster of grapes were in the cupbearer's hand, so he placed it in the cup and handed it to Pharaoh. Joseph told the man that this meant in 3 days Pharaoh would restore him to his position. In the chief baker's dream, he had 3 baskets of baked food on his head. Birds started eating the baked goods off of his head. Joseph told the baker that in 3 days Pharaoh would hang him. Both of his predictions came true. After 2 years, Pharaoh had 2 very troubling dreams. In the first dream, 7 fat cows stood by the Nile. Then 7 skinny, ugly cows came and ate all the fat cows. In the second dream, there were 7 plump ears of grain and 7 thin ears. The thin ears devoured the plump ears. These dreams caused the Pharaoh great distress. However, none of the wise men could figure out what the dreams meant. The cupbearer remembered Joseph, and he told the Pharaoh of him. Joseph was brought to the household, and he interpreted the dreams. He said that the dreams were a sign from God, saying that there would be 7 years of plentiful harvest, followed by 7 years of famine. Joseph suggested that Pharaoh appoint overseers to help ration the food. Pharaoh ended up appointing Joseph to be in charge of the food because he was wise with the Spirit of God. Now Joseph was right. There were 7 years of plentiful harvest, and the land prospered. He was also correct about the 7 years of famine. Joseph did his job well, and there was enough food for everyone. One day, Israel sent his sons to Egypt to get food, because there was a famine in Canaan as well. Joseph recognized them, but they did not know who he was. He remembered what they said to him regarding his dreams, and he accused them of being spies. He told them to go get their youngest brother, and someone would stay back in the prison. When they came to their father, they told him what had happened. They returned to Egypt with their brother Benjamin. He gave them the food they needed, but Joseph's cup was placed in Benjamin's sack. When they found out, they packed their bags and returned to Egypt. They fell before Joseph. Joseph could not control himself, and he wept. He told them he was Joseph, and they were dismayed. He told them to bring the entire family and move to Egypt with him, and he provided for them. Joseph's life proves that God can bring so much good out of the bad times. It brings us trust in God's plan and hope for the future.